All right, so Percy Jackson episode 5 just happened. The God That Bought Us Cheeseburgers, I think was the title.
Yes, it was.
40 minutes. We just literally finished that up in the last couple of minutes. We're going to jump right into the discussion. I know we've been kind of doing the baseball scoring system thing. It's kind of how we've been going with the first few episodes here. I want to do something different. I want to start with that this time and then break it down from there. Because I have a feeling you're going to rate this one higher than last week.
Oh, you know I am.
And I'm actually, I was thinking I might be rating it lower than last week. So maybe having said that and having had you just acknowledge it, maybe we will keep our scores until the end of the show. But now we've all got the poop eating grins. Like, okay, all right, so it's a little bit. We're gonna roll reverse a little bit on this one here.
Oh yeah.
10-second quick thought. What did you think overall? No synopsis or anything. Just you're already digging it. We can feel the vibe already. You enjoyed.
You think you know me.
You think you know me. Yep.
Oh, this one was, I really enjoyed this one. I wanted to say this is probably one of the most enjoyable because you see character growth, you see the introduction of new characters, you have the explanation of the pantheon and how they are to each other, which, I mean, you can see it through all the stories of how they treat each other. You have setup, consequence, and then redemption. You have so much in this one.
Yeah, true. You know what? You did that thing where I think you talked me out of a lower rating and you put me back on equal footing. I was kind of down on this one for a good stretch. I liked a couple of the things you said. I like the storytelling aspect of the mythology because I've always found Greek mythology interesting. So at a baseline, getting a little bit of that peppered in without it feeling like a college lecture is kind of cool, especially because it's being told to you through the simplistic lens of a kid. You know what I mean? So it's not it's not a deep cut. It's not enough to bash you over the head with the old stories and like that. So I did like it.
And also they did with visualization and like kind of like old cave painting type style of telling a story, which was really great.
Yeah, you know what it actually had? To me, it had, and maybe it was inspired by, given that it's a Disney project, it reminded me of Hercules. Like, it reminded me of, like, the old title crawl from the old cartoon. You know, there was just elements of that, you know? But then I was digging that. You know, I dig anytime they add more gods to the story, I dig that. And this week, you know, we get Aries, we get Hephaestus. Both were, I thought Hephaestus was limited, but Aries, big role. It was definitely a big character in the show, you know, in this particular episode. So that was also really enjoyable. I did like the character development between Grover had a little bit as he kind of worked Aries a little bit, did some satyr mind tricky, maybe not mind tricky, but you know, there was some elements of playing your opponent, you know what I mean? That was there. And then with Percy and Annabeth again, and they're obviously friends now. This is a thing. Like, they're a team now. They're Harry and Hermione at this point officially. You know what I mean? And I thought it's nice to see Annabeth soften a little bit and become less standoffish, which is good development again through 5 episodes. And it's good to see Percy again it's his show. It should be him making the hero play. This is 2 weeks in a row we've done it. We'll talk about the specifics of that, you know, in a couple of minutes. But I think maybe I was just down on it. I think, because right off the gate, no pun intended, they literally get to a gate. And Annabeth is just like, she solves a puzzle that's not a puzzle, but kind of a puzzle, but there was nothing to it. Just walk through, just go. That
was the point of it. It wanted to see who was worthy and who was going to be there and be scared.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I saw that and I was like, this is too easy. There's no stake here. There's no, like, if they had put something through it, and the thing got chomped going through it, like in the Neverending Story when he gets to the Northern Oracle or whatever, and he watches the first guy get absolutely obliterated by the laser blasts. You know what's going down. You know what I mean? At that point. In this here, they just look at the gate. They look at the saw trap because it looked like a saw trap. I'm not saying it didn't look cool, but I was just kind of down on that. But then, like you said, I think the characters did enough. They did more than enough, I guess, to kind of elevate another episode again. Made great use of the time. I wasn't bored even at the parts I wasn't enjoying up front. I thought, again, pacing, we talk about that all the time. Tell me what you thought of this week.
No, it hit all the stories. Like, you had them at the very beginning where they're seeing the aftermath of the last episode. Yep. Then you have them where she sees the fate, she sees the warning of them clipping yarn. And then they get going. They're like, we have to find Percy. Then you see Percy come out of the water, fine, like he's okay. And then they realize, you know what? We got to get going.
Yeah.
And then it was like, if the cops are looking for us because they think we trashed a train, and they think they're looking for us because we did something to the arch,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard to get tickets on anything. And so they start walking.
Dude, that was a great next shot. That was pretty funny. I'll give you that. They literally cut into an overhead of the three kids just walking down the highway. That was pretty funny.
Which was a great setup for the introduction of a new god of Aries coming in on a Harley, played by Adam Copeland. If you don't know him, his name is Edge. Actually, he wrestles under the name Adam Copeland now in AEW, but he had a long running with WWE as Edge.
Oh, yeah.
Former champion, rated R superstar.
Multiple time tag team champion, multiple time probably. When the WWE invented, what was it? The U.S. champion, the belt above the Intercontinental, but underneath the heavyweight. They've gone through some additional titles, right?
Yeah, and he had the heavyweight. I don't think he's a Grand Slam champion. I don't think he's won every belt.
True, but I mean, he wrestled he wrestled WCW when that was around, and then obviously made the switch.
No, he never was WCW.
He didn't have an alter ego under WCW. They didn't bring in Edge and Christian. You know what?
He came straight into the WWE. He was in Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is a training ground for a lot of wrestlers.
Oh no, I thought he was in WCW before they got acquired. Oh, my bad. Okay, move right along from there.
He's always been WWE. As Edge and Christian, which is his real life best friend. Like, they grew up together in Canada.
I love that character. Not the Edge character, because whatever. The Aries character. That was kind of funny. His diatribe at the diner with Grover, I thought was funny, about how every solstice I got to sit down and watch these kids and their stupid presentation. It's the worst day of the year, and I'm like, dude, that's every parent that's ever been to like a third grade play ever. You know, so I mean, he was kind of funny, but because he's such a big dude, I mean, in real life, he's what, 6'8", 6'10"? I mean, he's up there. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Right? And he's sitting across the table from Grover, who's like 13 years old and, 5 feet even and maybe
he's
24. What you do? So he just looks intimidating. So the Aries was a good role for him, but because he's enough of a natural performer with his background in wrestling, he can deliver some brevity and some humor while still having the crazy eyes that look like he could snap you in half like a breadstick if he was, duly motivated to do so. You know what I mean? So I like that character a lot.
Yeah, he's had a long time acting in a couple of different series. He was a cop in a different series. So after he had to retire, he was forced to retire due to a neck injury 11 years ago. Yeah, he was forced to retire. He went into acting, and he had like one where he was on a show for like 8 years as the cop in that series. I forgot the name of the series.
I do remember that. He was a detective. He wasn't uniform. He was a detective. I remember having
it was like a sheriff.
The belt or something. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember what it was, but I vaguely remember that. But yeah, I was digging the vibe of that character. Like you said, the intro on the Harley. He kind of rolls up on the kids and he's like, "Yeah, I know what you three dipshits are up to, and I'm gonna go up this diner up the road. So if you want to meet up and get some help, be there. Don't be there. I don't care." You know what I mean? He's pretty funny, because then he revisits that line at the end of the episode where he's gonna give them, like, they own up to their end of the deal. We'll talk about that. And then he's like, "Get in the truck. Don't get in the truck. Whatever. I'm fucking off in a couple hours. Do what you want." So he was kind of a funny character, but he, again, with the non-lecturing on the mythology, laid out how things work through his lens, his experience of being one of the first generation of second generation of Olympians. He's Zeus's son. He's like, "I'm here to help. My dad's gonna have the war no matter what happens. You find the bolt, you don't find the bolt, nobody cares. Dad wants a war, he's gonna get one, and I'm here for it."
God of War. I mean, that's like kind of his thing. I mean?
But they all play into their roles, and when we get to the Hephaestus character, it's the same thing. He's like, "I'm not quite the pushover everybody thinks I am, but I can be swayed." I thought there was a really couple of solid emotional beats at the end, but the crux of the episode here is that the kids are on the road. They've survived the loop. They need now to get their next location. They have to get to Santa Monica, because that's where the underwater figure basically told Percy he needed to go at the end of the last episode when he learned he could water breathe. They got to get from point A to point B. They're still very much on a literal hero's journey, on a trek from east to west. They run into Aries. He sends them on a little side mission. They cleverly break the group up because I think it would have been old to see the three of them going to the amusement park. We'll get to that. So I thought they cleverly pulled Grover out of the mix. He was kind of the de facto hostage, so the other two could go do their thing.
Yeah.
Take it from here.
So one of the things I did really enjoy about this is when they did split up and Grover stayed behind, you saw what Grover could really do. Like, you saw a lot of character growth in Grover. Because one, he played to Aries' ego. Talked about wars that people have forgotten and how great they really were and how he was a fan of his. And like, Edge played off like, you're not a fan of mine. You like worship like flowers. Butterfly. And it was like, and then you start bringing up wars. He's like, no one talks about them anymore. He's like, well, they should. He's like, there's something to be said about overwhelming force and quick surrenders.
Yep. Played right at him, which is a Satyr thing. You know what I mean? It's very Satyr thing. I think the thing people forget about, like, when they get into like, deity characters in fiction and things like that, they think every god is like an omnipotent type and is above all kind of like human frailty or sins like pride and things like that. Like, no, the Greek gods were kind of like those things personified. There were lessons to be taken from the interpretations of each one of them, and hubris is one of those main things that the Greek gods were all notorious for, except for Hades, which is why he gets such a bad rap in like every fiction, piece of fiction that he gets brought up, and it's really not his thing. But Aries, no stranger to pride, and Grover plays him for a little bit of info. But I thought that tied into one of the things I didn't like about the episode, is that just much like I didn't like Annabeth figuring out the trap not trap at the beginning, Grover goes through whatever, and then at the end of the episode just sort of declares, I think I know who stole the bolt. And like, I needed a little bit more. Like, if I don't know how he's figured things out, it's either because I was too dumb and couldn't figure it out and I just don't buy that on a Disney show, or they're holding things back from the audience for reasons, and I don't know if I like that. What was your read on that revelation at the end?
I knew exactly what he was trying to say, just based on the answers that Aries gave, because he was there playing Aries 4 questions as he's trying to figure things out as well, and it worked out great because the last solstice is when the bolt was stolen. So he got his whole play on everything that was going on Mount Olympus at the time of the theft. He's like, we know it's not your boy. Why are you playing this? And he was like, it has to be someone stealthy and stuff like that. And then he played on the brother-sister thing where he's like, you want to figure out who stole the bolt so you to prove you're smarter than your sister, who's the goddess of wisdom. So, and I think the shield plays into it later too, if I can remember properly. But yeah, I think it was great because as soon as he said it too, I'm like, roll credits, and boom, there it was. Credits.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not as sharp as I thought I was then, because I was like, I don't know. I mean, I got the whole thing he was playing him thing. I didn't remember that the bolt was stolen during the solstice, but I don't see how that necessarily. I don't know. I guess they did give you the pattern of how they could deduce who was capable of such a threat and then disappearing. I mean, maybe if I rewatched it, guilty. All right, maybe I just didn't pay attention as much as I should.
Well, I mean, they set it up that way. I mean, okay, when you're writing dialogue for a show, a movie, you don't have useless dialogue.
True.
You have dialogue that's trying to push the plot together. It might seem useless at the time, but there's a reason why they got to that solstice, and there's a reason why they were talking about it. So that had to set up when it was actually taken, because one, you have all the demigods on Mount Olympus at that time that are known to show, so that's opportunity. Motive could be that it was one of Ares' kids, because Ares always wants a war. So it could be set up that way. This is how you could play into it. So
okay, all right. Then again, the more you and I always talk after these shows, when I'm initially down on something, I realize that I missed something. I might have been checking the phone when something happened. I should probably put my phone in another room while we do these shows. That way I don't miss these kinds of things. But again, I like this show. It's a fun watch, even when it doesn't have a major action set piece. This week I thought it had a moderate action piece when they were doing the Tunnel of Love ride. That's not as dirty as it sounds, everybody. This is a kid's show. It's literally a tunnel of love ride at a carnival at an amusement park. They have to jump out, and then, of course, the tide's pulling them in places they're not supposed to go because it's the amusement park is built by Hephaestus, and it has some perils to it. So they jump out. Percy Jackson has to use the water power to do a hero move and get the both of them, him and Annabeth, out of the water. But that was it. So the extent of the action sequence was literally, you're on a water ride. And it's kind of angling down big fast.
Well, if you actually watch the water ride, it is a love story. It is his love story of how he got Aphrodite. Yeah. Because you watch his story of like how he was rejected by his mother because of he came out a little bit deformed, which, I mean, if the actor that they have play him is Tim Osterman, who is currently recovering from a stroke, so he did play that role a little bit. You can see he has a little bit of he has the beard on purpose because he has a little bit of cerebral palsy. You did see him in shows like Sight, and when he had the stroke before the two Sight movies come out, and you can see him right after the stroke in those two movies of the Sight movies. So, I mean, he fits the character perfectly. Great actor, great talent, voice talent, everything. The guy is amazing. I've been a big fan of him since Sight, and of course the TV show Gallivant. But then you have the fall where Aries kind of like, because Aries has a thing for Aphrodite, and she has a thing for Aries, and like he hits him down, and then right after he knocks out him and walks off with the girl that he wants, you fall down, and then you get to the trap, the main part, which is the other part of the love story of like how he got Aphrodite to be his wife.
Yeah. Which was basically again a con job against the gods to outsmart the rest of them. Which again, it's just kind of how that pantheon works. Is that if you were the god of something, you were like the undisputed champion of something. It's not like, so if you were the master engineer that Hephaestus is, he designed the golden throne that if you sat in it, you couldn't get up. That's just how that was. Zeus could sit in it and couldn't get up. You know what I mean? Like that was the thing. Zeus couldn't break it open with a thunderbolt because engineering and architecture, their power. They each have their thing. Their domain, their however you want to, their aspect, whatever you want to call it. So the golden throne in this episode lends itself to what I was talking to earlier, is that the Ares sends them to Hephaestus's playground, the amusement park. They survive the ride. They're down there. They see the trap. It's another Saw kind of situation for kids. It's a golden throne that if you sit on it, it basically encases you in gold, and you can't. You're stuck. You're boned. You can't go. And that was the trade-off. So one of those two kids had to sit in the chair to release the shield from the statue behind it. That way, the other kid could take Ares' shield back to him, where Ares was holding Grover. And so Percy makes his second hero play in 2 episodes. He's not basically, you're better than me, Annabeth, at this questing thing. We know it. This is why I told Chiron I picked you, because I knew you'd be okay if I had to be the sacrifice. You wouldn't care. And she softens, like, you can see it, like her character's completely, it's progressed. She's friends with this kid now. She doesn't want to see him harmed. It was nice. It was a nice change of non-cynical shit.
He said that he chose her because he knew that she would sacrifice him to accomplish the mission. And that's why he chose her, because he's going to need someone who could possibly sacrifice him for the greater good. And like how they got the shield is the same reason how he got Aphrodite. Hera sat in the throne. Nothing to get her out, and he agreed to release her if he was able to marry Aphrodite. And that's how that all came down. And knowing that story, because Percy's mom prepared him for these stories, and like they had a big point, like, you don't want to be like this, like how they all treated each other. It's like maybe your mom prepared you better so you wouldn't be like them.
Which comes into play about 5 minutes later in probably one of the more emotionally touching sequences, I think, of the show so far. And I thought Annabeth's performance, we should get these actors' names. I think they deserve it. We'll look into that for next week, because I really want to credit her. I think she put on a really good show this week. She went from hardcore semi-boss bitch in the first few episodes into emotionally vulnerable in this one. At the very beginning of the episode, when she realizes Percy's alive, she runs up to him and gives him like the bear hug. The barest of hugs of ever. It's like, thank God you're fucking alive. She probably blamed herself for not doing the hero thing on the arch. You know what I mean? It's all well reasoned. all well performed. So I was digging that. And then the thing with the chair. Percy sits in the chair. The gold covers him up so she can be the one to take the shield back and ostensibly finish the mission. There's a little bit of brevity, and Marvel could take notes here. It's like, when you get the shield back, could you do one thing for me? And the first thing this chick says is, of course I won't leave the underworld without your mom, right? But then the little jokey joke is, he's like, actually, I was hoping maybe you could come back here and try and get me out of this, and I'm like, that's funny. That works. It didn't undercut what was going on, because the joke came and then he had to sit in the fucking chair. You know what I mean? Then the bad thing happened. Marvel would have had that backwards. You know what I'm saying? They'd have had him, sit in the chair and then make a dumbass joke 5 seconds after that. And it would have just undermined it. I wish this had more time to breathe, because, like, imagine if they actually lost him for the rest of the episode. You know what I mean? And then they had to come back and get him. So, but it's, they get 40 minutes. They got to do what they do. I thought it was well executed, because, again, she has to reason with Hephaestus, like you were just saying about Percy's take on his mom's teaching of the lessons. Like, dude, he's not like you. And I used to not be like you, but I am now, but I don't want to be anymore. And Percy's better than you. He's better than all of you. And she makes this, like, it's an impassioned plea for her friend. It was very moving. I really enjoyed that. I really did.
And if following his story, he was the proper god, like, that's what would work on him, because of how much he doesn't like the other gods. Like, if you look at the stories, like, he lives in the bottom of a volcano where he's a blacksmith.
Isolationist. Yep.
And with her saying that they wanted better than the gods and how they treat people, and he's like, I agree with you. And then he plays his little flute and undoes the chair. I thought
that was a great line. He says, I don't want to be like them either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was pretty solid all around. I was thinking that at first it was going to be a little cringy and cheesy, but again, the actor that plays Annabeth, she sold that part. After kind of being not necessarily wooden or monotonous for the first X number of episodes, she was supposed to be hard. You know what I mean? And kind of standoffish. Like that's the character. But I think that and again, not to cite the Hermione comparison again, that's how Hermione starts. She starts like a hard ass, a know-it-all, and she has to soften and become more emotionally available to Ron and Harry later in the series, and when they all become friends. You know what I mean? That's where they are now. I like this. This is good.
Yeah, so, and a way to play it is that she closed herself off because she saw her best friend become a tree.
Yep.
And remember, like, in the at the camp, they were talking about, like, the way to build your name up and stuff like that is glory. And so she was one of those glory people, because her mom is also a goddess of war, like Aries is the god of war.
Yep.
Or goddess of victory. No, that's Niti. Niti, who she carries with her. But but she's also a god of combat, goddess of wisdom, stuff like that.
The hunt, right? So Athena's the hunt, if I'm not mistaken, right? The hunt of wisdom.
And I believe war was in there too, the goddess of war as well.
Did she get that too in the accolades? I thought that was Aries' exclusive thing. I got your point though. I got you. It's her. It's one of her. It's involved with her somehow. It's one of her pivotal aspects. And if you're a follower or or an offspring of that god, you exemplify and personify those values, those attributes, however you want.
Because you want to earn favor with your
right. That's how you stay one up. And she actually uses the word glory when she's having that back and forth with Hephaestus. She goes, I'm sick and tired of eat or be eaten and everything's power and glory.
Yep.
If it was a mature show, she'd have basically been like, fuck that noise. I think I'm done with that. Let my friend out of this chair. We're gonna have a problem. But she makes the plea instead, which was very impassioned, like I said. And I thought that really it's fun to watch. It's engaging. It's pulling me into these kids and their plight.
Which is great, like with Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, you can have a huge hack and slash type game where it's like combat to combat to combat. Yep. But if you don't throw in puzzles and stuff you have to figure out, that's all it is a hack and slash type game. That's not what makes D&D great. It's everything else about it. And this is also like she could easily have fought him and like earned the key to unlock him, but no, it was more of a had to figure everything out. That's why the opening gate didn't bother me, because you had to be smarter than the trap, which they were. They realized it wasn't a trap. It was just a warning.
Yeah, but she didn't even touch it, dude. She looked at it and she was like, oh, it's celestial bronze, so it'll not hurt any mortals. the one of us that's gonna chew right up. If she had touched it, like, see, this is why I don't complain about the throne of gold. She actually laid hands on the gear. She was doing something to engage it. You know what I mean? If she had walked up to that gate,
but she really couldn't without going into the gate, because the actual mechanism was inside the gate.
Get out of here, dude! She could have walked up to the. Dude, she wasn't even walked up all the way to the fence. She could have looked up at the fence, clicked a flashlight on or some bullshit, stuck a screwdriver inside.
What flashlight? What screwdriver?
Dude,
they don't have any of that on her.
Dude, she could have had a pocket with the flashlight in. Who knows? She could have stuck a stick in there just to see what would happen.
They didn't have gear. You remember they were walking with no backpacks, no nothing.
You mean to tell me that nowhere outside the gate to Waterland there wasn't a stick? There was nothing? Have you been to St. Louis? There's shit everywhere out there, right? It's not San Francisco. You know, there's crap on the grounds. You can use some shit. But that was the difference in those two scenes for me, is at least when she was not going to accept it, because she said it to Hephaestus like twice. She's like, I'm not leaving without this dude. Either shut up and let me focus, which I thought was great, because that's what she would have done. She would have thought about the mechanism. She would have tried to tinker with the gears, anything. Now, had she opened them, I'd have been pissed. They're like, wait a minute. The combined might of the gods and all of their millennia of experience couldn't open this fucking thing, but this chick could do it. Done with the show.
That goes to the whole thing with them keep failing and then have to find another way. Like, she was trying to, like, manhandle it and move it around, but it wasn't budging. Actually, it played, but it didn't do anything.
Well, like, I mean, the gear played how it would have moved as it was functioning normally, but it's not like she was prying pieces off like the Hulk or anything like that. And like you said, how they had to find a way to succeed. It was, in this episode, both teams were successful because the kids did the same thing. They reasoned or applied logic to their opponent on the other side of the table. Grover got Aries with, like you said, playing to his pride and about, you know, he's the god of war. Let's play up the whole, I'm a big fan of war. I know all this shit. And then Annabeth does the same thing to Hephaestus. She was familiar with the story as Percy explained it to her a little bit. Yeah. What she also probably knew too from her mom, and watching the mural as they went down the water ride. So she knew,
and played on his emotions. Exactly. So he played on it was a psychological figuring things out.
Yep. So I think that was very wisely done.
Yeah, it owes a whole nother level to, because it's not just run in, you know, biggest gun wins type thing. It's, you have to outthink your opponent sometimes.
You know, and I think I'm gonna, if you excuse me, I'm gonna do one more Harry Potter corollary for the show. This is my last one. I think that's what makes the better of, like, the young adult stuff fun to read even when you're a grown-up. Like, I can read Harry Potter. I might actually read a Percy Jackson book or two. There are other series, like Fablehaven is another one. I've read a couple of books under that series. They're enjoyable because they can't do what you just said. In adult fiction, like, and I love the Dresden Files. This would be my only episode mention of the Dresden Files. Love me some Dresden Files. But as that series gets longer, as much as I like it, I'm always leery that the solution to any given problem is, Harry's the Winter Knight now. He's just gonna run in and bulldoze the fuck out of whatever gets in his way, because he's the baddest son of a bitch on the block. Harry Potter can never do that. Percy Jackson and his crew can never do that versus the upper echelon of the Pantheon. You know what I mean? They can kill a Fury, they can kill a Minotaur, the mobs, you know what I mean? The low level NPCs.
The monsters.
That's what I'm saying.
But probably once you get to the Titan level, which is below the gods.
They're like, no. Bro, you're getting obliterated. Shit ain't gonna happen, which is why the end of this episode, when Harry had Potter in Dresden, when Aries was running his mouth at the end before they get on the truck, Percy Jackson's like, stop flapping, here it comes, or you're gonna find out who I am. Which was a ballsy move as a demigod to a god and your older cousin, but I felt that, and I was like, oh, you'll probably lose, but maybe you get your licks in. Maybe you do.
Maybe you earned his respect by stepping up to him and not just backing down.
He gave him that look. I thought
kid.
That was there. But all right, we might have to slug this out later in Vegas, but for right now, we good. We all right. So I thought that was okay. Damn it! Again, I think this show is really fun, even if it doesn't hit perfectly, or even if it has to rush through certain things. Because I bet if we were to read this book, I bet all of that crap with the throne and Hephaestus takes several chapters. It has to, right?
Or a chapter. I think it's a chapter.
Really? Okay, so that's in a kid's book like that, that's at least 12 pages. Yeah. Novel of that size, probably anywhere between 10 to 16 pages, I would say. And that I think that would be enough. I think that would be enough. But here, these things do feel kind of rushed given the limitations, the time frames, those kind of things. But as long as the performances are good, free pass on the accelerated kind of clip of the episode. Not that 40 minutes is good, but her performance was so damn good. Like you said, the actor's brief portrayance of Hephaestus so good. Edge was a riot to watch. On the bike, in the diner, outside the truck, there was nothing he said wasn't either funny, informational, or intimidating.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. Maximum use of the time. I think he had more dialogue in this episode than I typically have on one of the episodes of our show. That's saying something. Like he definitely he ran that episode, dude. He did.
Yeah.
I'm still digging the show. So, in your estimation, then, so we can wrap up, the show is still very much on an upward trajectory. It's in terms of enjoyment. It's every week I want the next one. You know what I mean?
Yes. I am sad that I have to wait week to week to watch this.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. This is definitely a must watch for me because it's that much fun. I don't have to do any research to watch it because they give you just enough to this is this one's son, this is his cousin, the Minotaur is from here. It's just enough to get you in, and then it keeps you there for the week. So I'm digging this show. They should just use this as a template. Get the author of the IP, bring them in, give them 97% creative control, and get out of the way.
Yep, just write the check.
Write the fucking check. We're looking at you, Warhammer 40K, Amazon. Leave Cavill alone. Just get out of the way. So yeah, dude, let's use our baseball analogy and get out of here. It's to you. You're at bat. Where are they hitting?
All right, so I'm standing up to the plate. They pitch this thing down. It's right in that big, dark red zone when they show it, and he just takes it, sends it right over into the left field corner. Easy triple with a RBI double. So easy triple with 2 RBIs.
Easy 2 RBIs. Obviously, he cleared them. Okay, all right. And I think that's fair. And I'm glad you exercised a little restraint because I feel like that's something you would do where you can go to 4.5 out of 5, but you can't give it a 5 just in case next week is perfect. Because then if that's perfect, then you got nowhere to go. You know what I mean? It's why you can't get into an argument and start maxed out anger because then you have nowhere logical to go in case some shit requires escalation. Same thing. Dude, I would say the same. I wouldn't have used the RBI analogy. I wasn't going to get that fancy. Dude, I think I had it as a double. Initially I had it as a single, but as we talked more, I had it at double. And then when I was talking about the Annabeth speech, that's an extra base easy because in a show that's only 40 minutes long, that was a kid show version to me of the in Andor. What was that character's name with the bomb speech? Skarsgård's character, Luthen Rail. That speech from like the finale episode, dude. Still one of the best things Disney Star Wars.
Still good.
It's like, what have I given up? Everything.
Dude, and then the elevator closes.
Dude, close, cut to black, go to credits. Don't worry about the sequel trilogy. Don't worry about Mando season 3. Watch that on a loop. You'll have more fun. You'll be moved more from that. That was awesome. And I think this might have been their move, and I think Percy probably has enough mid-level speeches about becoming a hero and figuring things out as I go and not giving up and learning and this and that. I bet he has a banger of a speech in the next 3 episodes somewhere because it's his show, and I just feel like they get that. I think they understand where all the accolades and like the time needs to be distributed. So I'm right there with you. I think this is a triple, definitely carried by the duality of the two teams using logic and reason and a little manipulation in places to overcome goals. That way it didn't have to be find the magic ring, blind the Medusa so we don't get turned to stone or some shit and cut its head off. Find the gem that does XYZ, saves the day, overwhelming force. They completely counteracted all that. So I think that the creativity, the logic, the sneakiness, I'm with that. And then her speech, added base, triple. I want more of this show. I'm going to be sad when this is over in 3 weeks. Because then what?
What's next?
I mean, I think I'm still doing Echo later tonight. God help me. But there's nothing on our radar for like weekly viewing until we can get you to watch House of the Dragon season 1 in time to watch season 2. I mean, that's our only chance. But dude, read us out here, and guys, thanks everybody. Happy New Year, because I think this is our
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Yeah, it will be our first. We do have a video coming out about what we're looking forward to in 2024. Which, yep, we'll be doing that here pretty soon. But right now, we are sitting at 189 subscribers. Come on, join the den. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 200. We're looking just to get 200. You guys to do it. Hit that subscribe button. If you do like this content, please hit that thumbs up button. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Last video got 12 comments. I was so excited. I love talking to you people, and that's why I want you guys to leave comments. Maybe we might in the future have, when we get like a little bit more technical and I'm not on the road, 360 days of the year, we'll be able to have like people come in and actually live comment with us, where we can have that interface or that interchange. So go ahead, leave a comment, hit that thumbs up button so we can get out to other people. They can hit that subscribe button, join the den, and make sure you hit that notification bell for every time we drop this great content. You're notified so you never miss out. With that said, Winter Wolf, let's say good night.
Later, guys.